It is one of the most widely used metals on Earth.
The global demand for this resource, which is significant today and going to be much more significant in the months and years ahead. And to have a third of relative to the global reserves, to have a third of that resource present right here in Saskatchewan, that's a significant discussion. It's not just the products that we are producing that are significant, but it's how we are producing those products that are significant. And I think it's a real opportunity for, as I say, the community and surrounding area of Tisdale, but also our province, our nation, and for the world to be able to access a product like this from a secure and reliable, ethical and sustainable trading partner.
Saskatchewan announced on January 30th, 2026, the discovery of one of the world's largest alumina deposits, a find that could fundamentally alter the balance of power in the escalating trade war between Canada and the United States. Canadian Energy Metals Corporation revealed that its Thor project contains 6.8 billion tons of alumina within 49.5 billion tons of ore near Tisdale in east-central Saskatchewan, representing approximately 1/3 of the known world supply of alumina. Christopher Hopkins, President and Chief Executive Officer of Canadian Energy Metals, described the discovery as a possible game changer for North America aluminum supply chain. The deposit is Canada's first major domestic alumina resource and marks a significant shift in the global critical minerals landscape. Hopkins stated that anything that moves products, transmits power, or stores energy uses aluminum, and Canada has now established a world-leading secure source of alumina right here in Saskatchewan. The timing of this discovery is explosive. The United States imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum that reached 50%, effective June 4th, 2025, after raising them 25%, effective March 10th earlier in the year. Both steel and aluminum going into the US have been subject to 50% tariffs since June. These tariffs have cost American automakers billions of dollars while disrupting North American supply chains. Canada is the dominant US supplier of aluminum, exporting approximately $12.4 billion in aluminum in 2024, with roughly $11.2 billion destined for the United States. Canada supplies about 70 to 85% of US aluminum imports. Trade data providers recorded a 22% year-on-year fall in Canada. Unwrought aluminum deliveries to the US for January through August 2025, a drop of about 410,600 tons to 1.4 million tons. The United States does not have productive capacity that could quickly and cheaply ramp up to replace Canadian aluminum, nor many other sources to replace it. Securing electrical power is a growing challenge in the US, with demand projected to rise at an annual rate of 1.7% from 2020 to 2026, driven especially by new demands from data centers. Canadian aluminum cannot be replaced rapidly, meaning US importers will have to continue to source aluminum from Canada or reduce their own output. This translates into a poor bargaining position for the United States, meaning US importers have to bear most of the costs of the 50% tariff over and above the world or Canadian price for aluminum. Ford and Alcoa, which operate smelters in Quebec and then import the aluminum into the US, are two companies in this situation. Both have publicly stated they are paying tariffs, with Ford paying hundreds of millions of US dollars and Alcoa paying $115 million. General Motors said tariffs cost the company $1.1 billion US dollars in its second quarter of 2025. Chief Financial Officer Paul Jacobson stated the tariff impact for the full year could reach $4 billion to $5 billion US dollars. Ford Motor Company announced tariffs would cost the company $2 billion in 2025, incurring $800 million in extra duties in the second quarter alone. Stellantis warned of a 3.7 billion Canadian dollar loss for the first half of 2025 due to tariffs. The Thor project, preliminary economic assessment prepared by two leading engineering firms, outlines substantial economic potential. The modeled internal rate of return is 72% after tax, with a net present value of cash flows at $72.3 billion US dollars, discounted at 10% after tax. Economic assumptions include initial capital expenditures of $6.3 billion US dollars, operating costs of $1.6 billion US dollars per year, and product price assumptions of $5,000 US dollars per ton for chemical grade alumina and $25,000 US dollars per ton for high purity alumina. The financial model contemplates a surface mining and processing operation with an average throughput of 16.5 million tons per year of ore feed, supporting alumina production of 1.8 million tons per year over a 25-year project life. Hopkins stated there is enough resource in the ground to mine for more than 2,000 years at 50,000 tons per day. Most of the world aluminum comes from China, but that is not considered a secure supply chain anymore. Canada currently produces aluminum at about 3 to 4% of global consumption. The Thor project has the potential to position Canada as a secure North American source of alumina, providing a long-term alternative to imported bauxite and strengthening critical supply chains. Unlike typical alumina sources, the ore near Tisdale is not bauxite, but instead polymetallic black shale. The preliminary economic assessment found the resource ranges from 20 meters to 50 meters below the surface in areas already drilled. The deposit is held within a project area of about 16 miles. By 16 miles, roughly the size that would fit inside the metropolitan area of Edmonton. The discovery contains 50 billion tons of critical minerals total, including close to 7 billion tons of alumina, plus scandium and vanadium. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe stated, "The Thor project discovery pairs the province's pro-mining investment policies with a substantial geological advantage." The government is excited about the prospect of a new alumina industry setting up shop in the province. Moe indicated the project has the potential to rival potash or other minerals in the province and could make aluminum one of Saskatchewan's main exports. The site has well-developed infrastructure, including power, roads, and services. CN and CPKC rail lines stretch across the property along with natural gas and electrical transmission lines. 2 hydroelectric dams totaling 544 megawatts are located near the town of Nipawin. Hopkins noted that rail has the capacity to move any quantity wanted to any market in North America and beyond. Canadian Energy Metals has successfully produced 3N chemical-grade alumina and 4N high-purity alumina. The company is recovering very high-purity alumina up to 99.991%. The processes developed with engineering firm Hatch demonstrate strong economic and environmental advantages over producing alumina from bauxite. Hopkins stated this would be the greenest aluminum on Earth available, designed on the principles of low carbon and high ESG approach. Canada uses hydroelectric power to smelt alumina into aluminum, making it a green element. Hopkins emphasized that in Canada, we are known for having a green aluminum supply, and this would be the greenest of the green. Saskatchewan is very proud of what we produce, not only from an environmentally sustainable perspective, but also from an ethical perspective, Moe stated. The metals targeted are essential to Canada's advancement in aerospace defense and sustainable energy. Alumina is considered the most sought-after major mineral in the context of the transition from hydrocarbons to electric use. The efficiencies needed require lightweight materials, and aluminum is a lightweight metal, making it highly sought after. Canadian Energy Metals acquired buildings in Tisdale and land where the company anticipates installing a demonstration plant. The year 2026 will be spent evaluating the resource. The company continues to evaluate project scenarios, sensitivities, and risks associated with the assumptions applied. Canadian Energy Metals' 2026 objectives include updating the mineral resource estimate based on the successful 2025 drill program and preparing a pre-feasibility study. The discovery comes as Canada implemented its Buy Canadian policy on December 16, 2025, mandating the use of Canadian-produced steel, aluminum, and wood products in federal construction and defense procurements valued at $25 million or more, where at least $250,000 worth of these materials is required and Canadian supply exists. The policy requires that materials must be manufactured or processed in Canada, not simply sold by Canadian companies. Prime Minister Mark Carney announced new measures on November 26, 2025, aimed at protecting and transforming Canada's steel and aluminum industries. He said Canada must move away from reliance on a single trade partner and build an economy that is more self-sufficient and resilient to global shocks. As part of this shift, the temporary remission of counter tariffs on US steel used in manufacturing expired on January 31, 2026. To strengthen domestic supply chains, the federal government will fund Canadian National and Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railways to offer a 50% freight rate discount on interprovincial steel and aluminum shipments starting in spring 2026. This move is designed to make it cheaper to move Canadian materials within the country while reducing incentives to export to the United States. Ottawa has also committed more than $100 million over 2 years to work-sharing programs supporting up to 26,000 workers alongside $500 million increases to both the BDC softwood lumber guarantee program and the Large Enterprise Tariff Loan Facility. Against this backdrop, the Thor project discovery in Saskatchewan significantly alters trade dynamics. Analysts estimate US aluminum tariffs could add roughly $400 to the cost of producing a Ford F-150, highlighting the pressure on American manufacturers. With roughly 1/3 of the world-known alumina supply concentrated in a stable jurisdiction with existing infrastructure, Canada gains meaningful leverage in trade negotiations. If developed, the Thor project could anchor a new value-added processing industry in Saskatchewan, creating high-paying jobs, long-term tax revenues, and sustained regional growth. While the project remains at a preliminary assessment stage and carries uncertainty, its scale positions Canada to become a dominant supplier to the US and allied nations, potentially reshaping North American aluminum markets and the future of Canada-United States trade relations.